Mario Kart, a very special kind of racing game where the goal is not only to win, but to also piss off the other racers via insanity, cartoon gags, and the body parts of other racers. It's a beloved franchise with about 13 games under its belt, making millions worldwide, and with millions of players and 13 games, there's bound to be the creature of the internet that everyone dreads upon sight. An opinion. Favorite racer, favorite game, favorite track, favorite item, and there's plenty of rankings on said racers, games, tracks, and items, but you know what that list needs? Gameplay. The title of the video is right there. I don't need to explain it. I am going to rank each of the mainline Mario Kart games based on how well I like their movement and how fun they are. It's not going to be totally subjective. I will try to list out my reasons. But yeah, it's mostly subjective, so please keep that in mind. I'm not bashing anyone who likes the games or elsewise. I'm just going to talk about the games and my experiences. I'm not going to go over the arcade games or the live one. Even if I could emulate the arcade games, they're mostly meant to be played with arcade controls, a steering wheel and some pedals. It would impede on them overall, and it would be a disservice to them. And I ain't forking over this much cash. For the live circuit one, it's literally an RC car. It's gonna handle like an RC car. It's just an RC car. That much to it. The criteria. I played each of these games, playing their courses until I beat the special cup for that game. With one exception. All the gameplay talked about here is going to be about 150cc. For one, every game has this for most of its highest settings, so it's good to have a standard to compare them all to. Also, if I allow 200cc, it would make a certain game win by default, and I do not want that. I want this to be interesting. I'll be talking about how they play, how it feels to play them, any driving mechanics such as drifting, tricking, and any tech I feel should be mentioned. That should be it. 9 games, 9 places, bottom to the top.
What inspired you?
Money!
Fun is a subjective thing, and it's gonna differ mostly from people to people. What's a more fun game? A frustrating game with a hard-to-master gameplay loop that doesn't hold any punches and makes you want to pull your hair out? Or a safe game, one that prioritizes safety and steadiness? Yeah, it's Tour. The bottom of the list is Tour. Sure, there's probably like 3 other games here I could consider to be less fun due to how frustrating they can be. But like, they are games you can play and develop a skill for, and aren't gotchas.
It's so beautiful, I have to roll the gotcha.
I had never played Mario Kart Tour before this. I kinda knew what I was getting into, but I got it for this ranking and I played it, and I hated it. At least you can play with a person named Sex. I could get into it more, but that would take up half the video, so I will stick to what I came here to talk about. Its movement. How does it feel to move? You don't move. It's all automatic. You drive forward with safe steering and auto accelerate on, no brakes, and the only option you have is to move left or right. You can't even perform tricks. The game does them for you. The most advanced thing you can do in this game is that you can turn left or right far enough and it'll allow you to drift. That's about it. It's at the bottom here for its blandness. I mean, it's safe, mind you. It's not hair-pullingly maddening like other games. It just meanders and lets you play 2 laps of Mario Kart. It's boring. It's safe but boring. It's not fun. That's about it. I don't have much to say. That's literally all there is. But hey, maybe it can be saved by its 200cc mode. I wonder how you get it.
These are all things that we let fucking babies do.
You know it's not good when the 2 newest games in the series are ranked to the lowest. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the gentrified Coconut Mall. It is currently live on an IED via the booster pack while Mario Kart Tour is existing. I'm lumping this and Mario Kart 8 together because they're technically the same game with minor differences being between the character stats and an item box. So this counts as a Wii U game. Wonderful. I hear those games are the best of the best. Now why is it so low down here? I haven't even gotten to the handhelds yet. Yeah, Mario Kart 8 is a lot more balanced than a lot of other games in the series. It has tricks, gliding, underwater, drafting, The character stats are balanced. Being knocked into the void isn't as penalizing. Outside and inside drifting are relatively balanced. There's coins, no drifting out of control, and the controls themselves are rather decent. But here's the thing. This is about 150cc. I said earlier that I wanted to do 150cc instead of 200cc. I said this because if I allowed 200cc, this would be an automatic win. The game feels more natural to play at 200cc than at 150cc. The controls are better, the races are more challenging, and the game is just more exciting in general. If that is what 200cc is, what do you think 150cc is going to be? Painfully slow and sluggish. Mario Kart 8 is the Mario Kart game I've played the longest, mostly due to the fact that it's the longest running Mario Kart game, but still. I've got these courses down to the bone. I would imagine it would get stale to me, and feel worse to play in general. But even accounting for that, it does not offer anything that other games do better. The gliding in underwater areas are done by 7, there are several more tighter games, and several more looser and wonky games. The trick system is fantastical on Wii. The coins only cap at like 10, at which Super Circuit lets you get around a maximum of 55. It is completely average. If they chose a Mario Kart game to prolong the longevity of, I'm glad they chose this game. It's all around okay, but it's still completely stale, average, and slow. I had a certain expectation going into this list. I had played most of the games at least a few times, and there was like 3 games I had never played before, with having little idea of how they would turn out being. Tour was one of them, yeah, but I was expecting it to be that low. I had no idea what Mario Kart 64 was going to be like. I had never heard anyone else talking about how this game plays. I barely saw footage, aside from world records, and I just never had the opportunity to play it. And it's decent. I understand that this is A, the second Mario Kart game, and B, one of the first racing games on the Nintendo 64. It covered new ground that I had no idea about. Seeing it on a technical level is great, and it is still okay to play. It even simulates real traffic. Yes, this is in the game. Although the movement does feel icy, it is rather easy to get used to. It is still hard to avoid objects though. The drifting in this game is like, very wide. That was the first thing that really threw me off guard. I often drifted into the dirt or into a wall or into another player when I was first starting out, because it took me a long while to get used to the drift. But I eventually did get used to the drift, and it became a more fun game to play. Before that though, I had to learn how to play, and I made a lot of mistakes. And trust me, you do not want to make mistakes in this game. This game is very forgiving. Its main issue is that it has nothing else. Aside from the recovery boost, there isn't much. It's the second in the series after all. No tricks, no coins, no gliding, no drafting. It is what it is. I just feel like the other games have more to offer than this one in general. Oh wait! My bad! I just committed a felony, known as misinformation. It has one thing over the other games. So you know how in Mario Kart DS you can snake by chaining boosts in differing directions? Nintendo realized this 9 years before it happened in DS, so they implemented a feature. If you try to drift in differing directions too much, you spin out! Isn't that fun? It is annoying. Sure, it adds challenge, but not in a good way. Mario Kart 64 is a decent game. As the second game in the series, it doesn't offer much compared to all the other games. It is slippery, and it offers a fair game, but not much else. Oh no.
You're a cheater.
Yes!
The beginning, where it all started, Super Mario Kart. In my prediction, I was expecting this game to be right above Mario Kart Tour, for reasons I will get into soon. And when I booted up my Switch to play it on the Virtual Console, I was content with that placement. I had a not good experience. Originally, you had to unlock 150cc by getting all gold cups in 100cc, and by the third cup I about gave up and called it quits. Then I slapped myself, got myself a second Joy-Con, because one of them broke and I was only playing with one, and pushed through. I did what the cool kids call get good, and when I did, I found myself having a much more enjoyable experience. There is a high skill floor and ceiling, yes, but once you get there, it's really fun. You have to relearn how to make drifts though, because drifting here feels a lot different than most games in this series. You can also go faster than normal, as this is the first game where coins get introduced. You collect 10 coins, and then you go faster. The high speed at which you're going, and the tricky drift movement here, make for a thrilling, fast-paced game once you get the hang of it. Once you reach the skill floor and start to excel at the courses, the races become so much more fun. However, getting there is a far easier task said than done. You bump into so many opponents, and they all make you slower, and bumping into them also takes away your coins, which is utterly annoying. Spinning out of control is also here, except that it's not done by you drifting, but by you turning too hard and not drifting. The drifting itself is very cumbersome. It is very wide and very slick, so you have to know what to do, lest you fall into the void. You have very little room to make errors, so you have to be playing top notch. It's this high due to the fact that, well, it is fun. Sure, it is a pain to make it fun, but once you can make it fun, it excels immensely. It's a lot more rewarding than swiping your finger left to right. I would say give it a try if you're willing for the challenge. It ranks higher than the other games because after the challenger presents to you, it feels so much better to play and it feels a lot more fair. Sometimes getting hammered in the face over and over again makes the actual game more fun. I went this long without mentioning the CPU cheating. I consider this a victory for me.
Underwater temple, underwater monk.
Mario Kart 7, the one that introduced gliding and customizable karts. Honestly, this is one of my more favorite games, and when I made my predictions, I had this near the top. Despite what I'll say, I do find this game fun, but after analyzing it and the upcoming games, I couldn't keep a good conscience and keep it up there. It went from the number 1 spot, then to number 2, then to number 4, and then finally here at number 5. In addition to being able to fish, it does have very tight handling for its drift and movement, and it feels very snappy. The drift is good, the draft is good, the tricks in this game are not as good as Wii's, but they are definitely better than 8's. Going through all the twists and turns in this game is a smooth experience, and it is rather enjoyable. If I had to compare this game's movement to another game's, it would be 8's, but better. It just feels better overall. However, there are quite a few things wrong with 7. This game was the next game to release after the Wii version, and in the Wii the bikes were broken, so what was their solution to fix this problem? A simple one. Get rid of all the fucking bikes. There's only karts now. And that's dumb. It is also a tad slow. On modded 200cc, this game is a blast. However, this is 150cc, so we are stuck with the slow disease. The drift also feels a tad too samey, and it takes way too long to get a drift in my opinion. I do like 7 for what it is, and I really enjoy it. That said, it does have obvious failures. It's the same as other games where it is average in all other areas. It is rather slow and safe in this design. It's fun, but it could definitely succeed in other areas.
Road work ahead? Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Do not look at the Shy Guys on Sunset Wilds. Worst mistake of my life. Super Mario Kart 2 Electric Boogaloo! Super Circuit is the third game in the series coming after 64. This is also the first handheld Mario game. With this limitation, it goes back to the old mechanics of Super Mario Kart. It feels roughly the same, but with some differences. It is more challenging. There's a lot more complicated twists and turns here than in the SNES. I wouldn't bring up the tracks, except, well, it's where you drive. You make more complicated turns here, so it requires more control of the mechanics than in 1. They had to add turn signs in the game. In addition, there's a lot more coins to collect. A lot more. You are on icy movement trying to maneuver lots of sharp turns, and you have to collect coins that are lined up in rows. And there's some cool features on certain maps, like boost panels being lined up so you have to plow through them. There is also more tech here. For example, if you happen to fall off the edge and you press the accelerate button at the right time, you get a boost right as you land. And if you let go of the accelerate button and press B if you get hit by a banana or some other item, you can negate it. Never mind the fact that I completely forgot this was also in 64. Whoops! And do not get me started on what mushrooms can do in this game. The tech in Super Circuit is quite up there. Nothing groundbreaking or changing, but it makes the game a whole lot more fun to play overall. Except on this track. It has an earthquake going on. Super Circuit is an upgrade from Super Mario Kart. It's basically the same game, but there's some more movement tech, it's a tad more challenging, and you finally can see when you drift. Fantastic.
You just got coconut mold.
My favorite game from my childhood. Funky Kong Kart Wii. I remember it having such a diverse amount of viable characters you can choose from. Funky Kart is certainly an experience. Its movement isn't too bad. It introduced a trick system which has been in every Mario Kart game now. Although the other game's tricks are more watered down, Wii's tricks are big, grandiose, and it feels very good to pull off. I will mention that I use a controller instead of a Wii remote. I use a standard controller. If that invalidates my opinion on this game would be a lot lower if I forced myself to use one. Most of the tech in this game requires the Wii remote to be shaken or moved physically for it to work, and that's a lot more cumbersome than just pressing a button or pressing multiple buttons. The game's movement is a great combination between tight and slick. It's not too slippery, but it is also not too tight as well. It does not feel aggravating, nor does it feel boring. However, it is a tad slow. Getting the drift boost is also good. It does not take too long to get. Overall, the friction of your kart and the speed at which you go is better than average, and it is easy to excel at. This game introduced the bike and kart split, with bikes themselves being divided into wide or narrow drifting. I prefer wide drifts, but in this game it is way better to go for narrow drifts. Wide is like trying to go on the rings of Saturn. I would say that the kart and bike split is good, but bikes are like better in every way with their exclusive access to wheelies, which make bikes go faster on straightaways. There is one actual tech here. If you get hit or stopped for any reason and try to hold the brake and go at the same time, you can rev up your vehicle, and when you get a boost, you can let go and immediately get some speed up. It's very helpful and I like it. My main gripe with this game is that it's a tad slow. However, with the new tricks, drifting, and wheelies, you're rarely doing nothing. There's always something you can do to make yourself go faster. The game literally tells you that if you're leaning, you should be cleaning. It does try to give you options for how you can play, but this is Funky Kong Kart we're talking about. Not a bad experience overall, and if I had to choose a Mario Kart game to play with other players, this would not be off the table. Hey look, it's my favorite season. Autism. If there was a single game here to describe the singular word of chaos, it would be Mario Kart Dash Dash. Everything about this game can be boiled down to that one word. The map design, the items, the characters, and this includes the movement. It feels like you're driving a train with a cart in the back, but it works. The drifting feels like it was ripped and imported straight from Super Mario Kart and Super Circuit. In those games, there are sharp-ass turns with barely any room to do them. Here, though, the maps are good and wide, leaving you good amounts of room to perform them. You can also chain drift boosts, but it's inconsistent. The overall movement and presentation in general lends itself to that chaotic vibe in every nook and cranny of the game. There is not a moment here where you go, oh, that's boring. In my opinion, I believe having tighter controls makes a racing game better. It feels better to control, and it is not as rage-inducing. But I put this game all the way up here. Probably the least tight game. The most crazy one. Why is that? Well, the main reason is purpose. In other games like Super Mario Kart, it's a standard racing game. You're playing a straightforward kart game with some more than average loose controls. It doesn't feel like failing, but it's bringing a different experience than you're expecting. But here though, all of the loose turns and wide roads and insane drifting are all a part of the experience. Like, this is the game that introduced Baby Park, somehow the most chaotic track in the history of the series, even without a big-ass Bowser shell barreling towards you. With that said, there are some faults. Committing to the bit is all well and good, but committing to the bit also includes committing to the bit. With the game being as frenzy-inducing as it is, races tend to lean more in on the luck than other games. Of course there is skill, you do have to master the movement. However, you will get Mario Karted with chain chomps, Bowser shells, eggs, and the inability to hold shells and bananas back. Getting screwed over is relatively easy. Despite that, D-Dash is an incredibly fun game that is always a blast playing. Mario Kart DS was one of those games I played as a kid, but not as much. I would mostly play Wii instead of DS, and when I did, I found it to be a bit lacking compared to Wii. It was probably the switch from a small DS screen to a big TV, and all the trick systems of Wii. Still, that is what my childhood went through, and in the predictions, I kind of was expecting something similar. At face value, that is what it appears to be. This is the first game to have a decent drift and drift boost, and it does feel good. Car handling also feels good as well. It's the first game to go, yeah, we actually need to make tight controls. The controls are great for being a mid-series entry. It also introduces drafting, which would be a mainstay in the series. I would describe the movement as snappy, which is a good thing overall. It doesn't feel like you're trying to drive a train ninja with a cart behind you. Way easier to dodge items and maneuver around the tracks. But that's about it. It's okay. You're slow, but that's about it. Decent, but nothing too spectacular. Nothing to warrant the top spot at first glance. But there is something this game has that it does not tell you about, or want you to know about. Snaking.
Deja vu, I just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet, it's so hard when I try to be me.
Oh my god, the snaking. Snaking boosts this game from okay, that's fine, to snaking for the uninitiated is where you chain drift boost rapidly from left to right. It is tech, and fun tech at that. It's not like tricking where you have to go over a bump and press a single button. No. It requires skill, and you can do them anywhere, theoretically. The way you can rapid fire drift boost is so exciting, and it can turn the slow speed of the game into a quick paced, tight race. Even if you're not on a straightaway, chaining drift boosts at corners and other places is just as exciting. Sure, yeah, it's an unintended mechanic, but it is a damn fun one. The games in the series either boil down to being slow with their movement and playing it safe, or the speed becomes too quick and it becomes a lot harder to maneuver, getting a difficulty floor. In DS, it takes the best of both worlds. It becomes relatively safe, not frustrating or having a high floor, but it is also not slow. You control the speed at which you go, blazing when you need to. It is the core of what makes DS fun. It's not the only thing though. The snaking works because of how the movement works. Without the movement, there wouldn't be snaking. If the drift was more slippery, or if the drifts were acting differently, it would be a much different experience. That is to say, all the different mechanics come together to create one masterful experience. This game is a tad boring on the surface level. It makes some well-needed improvements for the series, but that's about it. It's the tech in this game that really excelled DS into the spotlight. Although it requires some skill to learn and forces you to develop carpal tunnel on your hand, it is well worth it. It makes the game so better. Unfortunately, they got rid of snaking in future installments because the developers realized how broken it was, so it stays locked forever in DS, where it remains to this day. Nevertheless, DS is a showcase in how a mixture of good gameplay movement and good mechanics in a game can go a long way and truly make a game absolutely stellar to play. With that said, even if we get new games in the series, because let's face it, Mario Kart found a gotcha vein and I don't think it's letting up anytime soon, the mechanics of the future games are probably going to stick to 7 and 8. We won't get more dashes, or DS, or Wii's, or even Super Circuit. It's all going to be samey. I would love to be wrong, but it's good to have the games now, and to experience them and play them at their best, before they are locked behind outdated hardware forever.